Okay, guys, welcome. We are here at the Implementation Maniac Training. I don't even know what to call it. Actually, I do know. I called it Building the Perfect Beast because recently at the Be Phenomenal event where we had, Eric Thomas and a bunch of other, of course, world-class speakers, John McGrath, Matt Steinway, Phil Harris. We had a literal who's who of real estate success join us at those events. But our headliner, kind of the theme for the whole 2 days in Brisbane and 2 days in Melbourne, was this thing called, where Eric talked about, he called it beast mode. And this was one of the slides that he had up, that everyone wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. And that's certainly backed up by the stats in the industry, that I would guess that every single one of you guys on this webinar, and there's 140 people registered for this web training, half of you guys are already on, there's about 70 of you guys on now, and everyone wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do. So at the moment, there was an appointment that 70-odd people committed to for their own success, didn't charge them a dime for my time, and 70 of them, that's half of the industry. Now, I know that we'll get some more of people that'll turn up 5 and 10 minutes late, but think about that. If one of the keys to success is being on time and turning up, well, half the industry just failed, So everyone, I've interviewed about 1,000 people over my career as a trainer, when I recruited for other people, and as a recruiting sales manager and principal licensee for my company. I would have interviewed about 1,000 people, employed about 100 to have our team of about 15 to 20 at any given time. And whenever I interviewed those people, I asked them what they wanted to earn, what they'd heard you could earn in real estate, and what they had in mind for their incomes. And not one of them, very rarely, less than 1% of them ever said a figure less than $100,000 a year. Well, given that, given that the industry averages are much less than $100,000 a year, depending on whose stat you read, and given that the average means that more than half earn less than that, everyone's earning $50,000 to $80,000 a year, and everyone thinks that they wanted to earn 100 grand. So everyone, the majority of this industry, is falling short of what they want to earn. And it's summed up by that. Everyone wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. So that's what tonight's about, is about when you've got a strategy that you learn from a trainer. In any way, this will serve you in whoever your coach is. Especially if it's me. But I'm just kidding. No matter who your coach is, no matter who your trainers are, this is going to help you get things actually done, as opposed to just being entertained at the event. And then when it comes time to do it, see, it's easy to sit at Be Phenomenal and get fired up and punch the air, listen to the best speakers in the world, listen to Matt Steinway, listen to John McGrath, Phil Harris, Chris Gilmore, Aaron Shiner, listen to all these guys and then get fired up by Eric Thomas. That's the easy part. In fact, that's almost entertainment. That's not work. Work is what happens the next day. Work is what happened for you guys today. Work is what happens tomorrow. That's the hard bit. The easy bit's learning it. So, because I reckon every one of you guys, if we were to program a real estate beast robot, we could all program him to do what we want him to do that would result in him earning $200,000, $300,000 in his pocket. Easily. I reckon every person on this web training could do that, could program the real estate robot. But when it comes to us being that real estate robot, well, that's when we fall short. So we're going to have a talk about that today. I just want to let you guys know I did open this up to some people other than my inner circle coaching clients. So for their benefit, I wanted to quickly get them up to speed that I'm not experimenting on you guys anymore. Some of the best agents in the country earning millions of dollars have me as their coach. So there's a bunch of guys there that some of them you might recognize. Some of them, though, are in more formative stages of their career. I'm more than willing to put some rookies up there when they've done, I'm just as proud as Dave Cargill doing a couple of $100,000 in his early years, in his first year or two, as I am of Michael Spillane, Tom Carlin, and the guys doing $1 million plus. I think they're just as noteworthy. So, Carmel just typed, "I'm the robot, I just need the guidance," and I'm like a rocket. I love that, Carmel. If that's the case, we are home, because within the training that you've got, Carmel is a coaching client of mine, within that training, Carmel, you've got everything to do. But tonight is about how to take the things you learn in all the various trainings and put rubber on the road and get things actually done. So, again, for you guys who are new to me, understanding that I'm not everyone's cup of tea as well. I'm not everyone's style. Some people, when they hear that I'm a bit of a bogan, they throw out the baby with the bathwater and they say, well, he's not for me. Well, one of the guys that's the epitome of professional, and that's Matt Steinwade, I've got a video testimonial of him saying that one of the things that I taught him was the best marketing tip that he'd gotten in the last 10 years, and it's generating heaps of response. So, if Matty Steinwade can put up with me being a bit of a bogan when he is a serious class act, he doesn't play the bogan business, then I think you guys can learn a thing or two from me. So, sip of my beverage. It's time to get to work tonight. So, pen and paper, you need them. You need to be taking notes tonight. One of my mentors early in the piece, Michael Sheargold, I bought his VHS videos back in our business days, and one of the best quotes I heard from Michael was an idea is powerless. The power of an idea is in its implementation. Without doing something with it, you may as well not know it. Instead of going to the training, if all you're going to do is go back to the office and do the same stuff you used to do, go to the pub and get drunk and don't come to the training. Even tonight, Brendan, I think it was, said he was cooking up a stir fry. Now, Brendan's a bad example because he's an implementer. But if you're just going to sit here and listen to me and not do something different as a result of tonight, then go grab a beer and watch Boston Legal or watch TV. You need to be an implementation machine. Now, Chantel on Facebook the other day, she put up a photo. Implementing is key. It wasn't exactly the best grammar. Implement is key, Chantel. And then she put up a photo. Here's one of the things she learned. There's her pre-listing boxes. There's what's in them for her pre-listing kits that's going to go out. Now, what I'm saying there is, guys, did Chantel wait until it was perfect? No, she went and bought some Tim Tams, bought some boxes, bought some ribbon, bought some balloons, boxed it all up, and put it in place days after she heard the strategy. So it's about sort of not waiting till it's perfect. So getting you guys up to speed just really quickly, and I will answer your questions later in many cases, because tonight's not about where did she get the boxes, guys. A couple of people have asked, where did she get the boxes? Where did she get the boxes? That's not the principle here tonight. The basic principle is you could go anywhere and get boxes. You can go down to your local $2 shop and get boxes for $1 or $2. You can get them online in various places. Of course, our team has got our suppliers for them, and certainly you're welcome to email us and get our suppliers. But the point isn't where we get the boxes. The point is about implementing and doing whatever it takes. So, these minutiae, questions like where did you get the boxes, are little chunks. And of course we're going to get into little chunks, but we also want to cover off on some big principles. So to get a few of the guys who are new to me up to speed quickly, what we want to end up with is a well-systemized, tested, proven real estate business. And when you really checklist that out, like some of my guys get this as a poster and I send it out, where there's only sort of 7 what I call big rocks, and underneath those big rocks there are various little chunks. Like for example, and what this is based on, guys, is I compared all of my friends, all of my clients, all of my people who earn the massive dollars, and what I did is by being in their businesses, in some cases being up close, personal, in the, what goes on in the boardroom, and unfortunately, the subject of what goes on in the bedroom is often open for discussion. So I know these guys intimately, and girls. So I get to see up close and personal what makes their businesses tick. And when I noticed that Matt Steinwade did some of the same things as Amber Wershin, some of the same things as Chris Gilmore, Aaron Shiner, and Tom Carlin, or whomever it might be, when I noticed they had things in common, I documented them and put them into a checklistable system. And so we're going to go through a few of those quick principles in the first 5 or 10 minutes just to get a few of you guys up to speed who are relatively new to me. Then we're going to get into the implementation coaching. So first off, they've all pretty much got mentors. One of the quickest ways and the fastest ways, see what I'm talking about here tonight for this hour, hour and a half or so, is how to get things implemented with speed. See, anyone can implement if we've got 2 years to do it or 3 years to do it. Anyone can do it. But what we need to do is have you be able to get some things done quickly so that you can move on to the next thing. Because we haven't got all year to get one thing done. You know, that pre-listing kit, I've coached some people over the years where, you know, they've said 6 months after they've, you know, started with me, they said, right, Glenn, I'm ready to get my pre-listing systems, pre and post listing, our pre-listing kits, our scripts, our dialogues, all of our systemization around that, I'm ready to get it started. And I think started 6 months in, you should have been doing it for the last 5 months, even if it's not perfect. So one of the quickest ways to get speed is to have someone already do it for you. Bretto's on. Bretto says, best thing ever. Agreed, mate. You know, your pre and post listing systems, of which Brett and his team implemented magnificently. In fact, I'm going to use those guys as a case study a bit later. I've prepared. In fact, Brett, I think I've even got a photo of you on this training. I haven't spoken to Brett in a couple of months, but yeah, you've got a photo on this webinar, mate. We can't wait forever. You know, what these guys have in common, these guys who are the, you know, the big guns, what they have in common is they all have what one of my mentors calls a bias for action. We need to get things done. And when they say to you at a webinar or a training or at a seminar that they have 10 or 20 people a month calling them in to list their property, I've had people, you know, like you guys call me up saying, you know, I heard one of your clients speaking at a seminar. He said that 20 people call him. Hey, all I need to know is that one thing that he does to get 20 people call him. And it's not one thing that he does that gets 20 people to call him. It's 20 of these little implementation steps, these little marketing systems, of which we are going to go through some tonight, all of which get one. So it's not one way they get 20 call-ins, it's 20 ways they get one. So being able to implement each of those little one thing quickly is imperative. You need to have knocked out of the park, you know, 20 things within a year. 20 good marketing systems, you know, within a year. So we're going to go through some of them tonight. And certainly some of these will be will not be strange to my coaching clients who are on. But understand, tonight isn't about what to do. Tonight is about how to get it implemented. So one of the fastest ways is have someone do it for you. Someone go ahead. So the best way is taking plagiarism, going one step short of plagiarism, and just copying what they do. And now, for some of you guys who are part of my coaching program or Chris Gilmore's coaching program or whoever it might be, some of us give you permission, and me and Chris certainly do, we give you permission to completely plagiarize, not even one step short of plagiarism. The quickest way is to get a mentor who's already done it and just rip them off. Yes, they say that stealing and copying is bad in schools. Well, here in real estate, stealing and ripping off and copying is the smartest thing you can do. So get yourself a mentor, Glenn Twiddle, and that would be really smart. Okay, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. You should have me. I'm good. All right. And it's not even me, guys. By the way, I didn't make all of this stuff up. I learnt it from my mentors. I was talking to someone today about it, how he studied both through me and through one of my mentors, and he was saying that, in fact, he might even be on the training tonight. It was young Shane. He was saying that, is he on here? He is, yeah, Shane Crosby. He's on here tonight. So Shane and I were talking just moments before the webinar, and he was saying that from what he's seen is the principles of the mentors that I've studied with, I provide that link that I've tested everything, proven that it works, tested it on my guinea pigs, guys like Chris Gilmore, Michael Spillane, and all of my clients in the past. And I serve it up to you already done, proven, and tested. So these are the quadrants with which we do our business, is that if we can attract them and have systems installed and implemented, that we attract as many clients, a waterfall of leads who are either interested now or one day in doing business with them. Then if we've got conversion systems implemented, where we can convert the business the way we want it with the right amount of seller paid marketing investment and all of that, then when we've got them, if we can impress them, do our job so well, and this is the Disney principle, we do our job so well that our clients can't help but talk about us, and then when we're finished doing our business, processing the money, collect the money, we put them in what I call the future bank, and we stick them for 5 to 7 years until they need us again, and in the whole time they offer us referral mechanisms. If we can get systems to do those 4 things, we are home and hosed. So we're going to talk about much of that here tonight. So in the first quadrant, this is attract. This is a marketing thing. One of the comments I'm known for very, I'm quoted a lot saying is, and it's quite controversial, it's saying that you have to be better at marketing you than you are at doing what you do. It's unfortunate, but it's true that the best product doesn't always win. Case in point, McDonald's. It's not the best hamburger, but it's the most successful restaurant in the world. So you have to be better at marketing what it is you do than you are at doing it. When do they find out you're a genius negotiator? After they've bought you. They have to decide whether you're a genius negotiator and a genius marketer before they decide to hire you. They only find out if they were right 4 to 6 weeks later. So what that means is you have to be better at convincing them that you're the one than you are at being the one. Now, you're not allowed to be bad at what you do, but what I'm saying is you need to be better at marketing you than you are at doing you. And up until, look, very few coaches, I'll just say this, focus on marketing. They focus on, I've heard John McGrath say that the quality of your business will be directly proportional to the quality of your prospecting. See, everyone sort of talks about prospecting, phone call this, phone call that, just cold call, door knock, and all that. And those things are valid for someone who doesn't have a marketing acumen, can't do marketing on a budget. Now, some budgets are small. Some things cost a little bit of money. Some cost a lot of money. Well, not a lot. No, actually, none of the things I teach cost a lot, but some things cost more than others, Now, of course, a phone call costs you nothing except time, but it's also miserable for you to do it. If I ask for a show of hands, who loves making cold calls? Yeah, there'd be one maniac in the whole thing that actually enjoys the process, but every other one of us is going to say, like for me, I would rather go and mine coal by hand than make cold calls. I hate it. So I'd rather do business in a way that gets people magnetically drawn to me. I'll tell you, case in point, now I know there's a bunch of my clients on here, and that's fine. I already magnetically drew you to me some time ago. But for you guys, if you're a first timer, understand, isn't it better for me to do my marketing this way? Invite you to a free night where I just train you. I just give you everything I've got for free. And then you might decide on your own that you wanted to investigate what some of my other guys get up to. Understand, even though this is a gift for you guys, this is also a marketing piece. So that I'd rather you guys do that. Learn ways to get your clients to line up to you rather than this cold call thing. And if your marketing is this sort of thing that gets put in the junk mail, if your marketing is these sorts of pieces, going back to this, I just Googled a while back, real estate marketing, and this is all I could come up with. Literally, everyone offers this stuff. So if your marketing's that, we're in trouble, because you're exactly the same as all of your competitors. We need to be smarter than that. We need to be better than that. Our job is to grow a big list of soon-to-be sellers. This is what all of our marketing and prospecting and everything should be designed to do, to get the biggest list of qualified, soon-to-be qualified, and one-step-away community members ready to go either now, soon, or one day. That's what we want. And we want to collect that database in the shortest amount of time possible. How did I get 200 people odd, it was 150 odd people registered for this web training, of which there are now 92 on? How did I get that to happen? Because I've got a big database, 1 or 2 emails, and we have 150 people registered, 100 people on. That's how we do it. We get a big list. All right. So this is the last principle I'm going to do on training. Then we're going to get into implementation principles. And this is just quick, fast start, catch-up guide for those guys who are new. If you're a generalist, meaning if you've got no reason to choose you, like, for example, every real estate agent, there's a couple of suburbs here in Queensland where there's this one block of shops in Carina where if you go along those blocks of shops, you pass like 10 real estate agencies in one block of shops. It's a long block of shops, but it's like there's, as you walk down, Remax, who are clients of mine, I love those guys, Remax at Carina, awesome folks. Then there's another shop. Then there's a Harcourts, or at least I think there was. Then there's another one. Then there's a Rain and Horn. And they go all the way down this strip of shops. If you don't give your clients that area reason to choose you, they're going to have to choose you on price because you are indistinguishable from the next guy. And I promise you, no matter how good you are, most of your community members, unless you have implemented some of these strategies like we're talking about at Be Phenomenal and places like that, and in coaching programs like mine, unless you give them the reason to choose you other than price, they should choose you on price. And for agents that are seen by their communities as just another real estate agent, they are the ones that are literally bound for extinction when all of this disintermediation, and it's already started. Understand that we're not talking about one day in the future. Realestate.com gave Arnold Schwarzenegger, reports have it, $6 million, and they are now marketing straight to your consumers. Guys, the writing is on the wall right now, so you better get good or you will be gone. That Be Phenomenal or Be Forgotten, that is truer now than when I first, did the first Be Phenomenal a year and a half ago. Or a year ago, whatever it was. It is truer now. If you are not phenomenal right now at your business, you will be forgotten. You will be one of those ones that gets cut out of the loop because they don't have a reason to choose you. So the next step up that ladder is a specialist, someone who specializes in an area and is seen by their community as a specialist. So there's some examples. Jason Adcock chooses to specialize in prestige properties. Tom Carlin specializes geographically, as does Michael Spillane. But both Tom Carlin and Michael Spillane, by the way, are bordering on the next level at the top of the pyramid. A celebrity authority specialist. What that means is someone who gets called in, and instead of saying to them, come on, give me your shtick, give me your pitch, they get called in and they say, look, imagine if John McGrath got called into a listing presentation and that client had just seen them on the block for the entire season, coaching and mentoring someone on the block. Do you think John's going to get the same objections that you get? Of course he's not. They're going to sit there and thank their lucky stars that they've got the celebrity specialist. So what we want to do is assemble tools, and here are some of them, that position you as a celebrity. So the reason I'm getting you quickly up to speed with these things is I'm going to show you the implementation strategies that I charge clients like Tom Carlin and some of my high-level clients. Chris Gilmore has been a member of that program and a bunch of others. Not too many because I'm pretty selective with them, but there's been half a dozen of them over the last couple of years where these guys pay me $5,000 a month to teach them what I'm teaching you right now. So the tools that we want to get assembled, that we're going to use as some case studies tonight, is positioning as an author. Celebrity specialists have written a book. Celebrity specialists are quoted in the TV, radio, newspaper, magazines. Celebrity specialists have products. Celebrity specialists speak at public events. So these are the things that we want to just quickly get you up to speed with, because these are the things we're going to use as case studies. So now look, there are 12 keys that as I was preparing for this webinar, I realized that the task is too big for one webinar. So we're going to do a few of these. In fact, I did put together a 10-week program because as I was putting it together, I thought, no, I can't do what takes me, months to do with guys like Tom. It takes me months to get these things installed. I can't do it in 1 hour. So I am going to give you the best I got now, but know that there are more keys to this that we can talk about on another training. But, one of the keys to implementation quickly is design cheaply but good enough. Now, what that means is you can't sit around paying Australian wages for your graphic design and be prolific enough with your marketing to saturate your marketplace. So, you know, if you were at Be Phenomenal, you would have seen Matt Steinway talk about saturation marketing. So I'm just going to have a quick sip here. You would have seen Matt talk about saturation. Well, if you're waiting on an Australian graphic designer at the rates they charge for a weekly piece of marketing, we're in trouble. If you design it yourself, you're in trouble because it looks like crud. So what we need is we need cheap designers that are good enough. For example, when I was putting this together today, I didn't have enough time to get a really good, really sexy graphic done up because I only realized in the last sort of 24 hours that this is going to take me 10 weeks, not 1 hour. So I said to my graphic designer overseas, $20 an hour, took him 10 minutes, so this cost me about $2 to have designed, and he whipped me that up. Right? So that's what we need. Now, is that great? No. Is that acceptable? Yes. All I did was I said, get me a lion, get a photo of me, put these words on it, and send it to me within the hour. It was back within the hour. Would have cost me $2. There's what I'm saying. So that can be my Facebook banner. That could be used on, of course, as it is on this presentation, as an example of good enough is good enough. Doesn't have to be good, it has to be good enough. Let me give you some examples of my guys who have implemented one of my strategies, which is write your own book. Now, in this case, in the case of my coaching clients, and look, I'm not too expensive in my coaching program. You know, it starts at a couple of $100 a month. So I give them the rights to have their own book. So this is Tanya's. Again, all of this material that you are seeing here is all done at $20 per hour. Tanya wanted one that looked like a New York City feel. So we took, now understand that these photos are good, but they're not necessarily taken by a professional photographer who's going to charge you thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars for your photo shoot. Understand that Tanya just leaned up against a wall and snap, and then she sent me. We cut it out. Our $20 an hour graphic designers cut it out, black and whited it, gave it the moonlighting hazy focus around the edges, and that's perfectly acceptable. Brett, who talked before, who was saying before, best thing ever. This is his principal licensee, Daniel Richardson. This book was done. This is his book cover, front and back. Understand that that was put together at those rates. Good enough, not necessarily good. Yes, of course, a purist author would say, Jesus, Dan, that is a very amateurish effort for your book title. I don't care because it's good enough for Dan's clients. Here's Danelle Weissman's. Danelle Weissman is, works with me up here on the Sunshine Coast. I live on the Sunshine Coast, so I see Danelle all the time. Dean Hankey is on the webinar from overseas. Welcome, Dean. And Danelle is, Dean just types in rock star legend. She absolutely is a rock star legend. And Danelle, that's Danelle's book cover. So again, is it good? Maybe. Is it good enough? Yes, it is good enough. So there's Naomi. Some of you guys would have dealt with Naomi, who now works part-time for me, as well as being a real estate agent over in Perth. There's her book cover. Perfectly acceptable book cover. Done for $20 an hour. Done for next to nothing. That would have cost her $10, maybe $20 or something. I don't know exactly, but it didn't cost her what normal design costs would cost for your book. Andrew Kiriakou is was on national television with his book. Andrew was on national TV, and he didn't even read his book. He just printed it and got it done. So again, good enough is good enough. And one of the guys brings up a very good point. I'm going to unmute him in a moment if he has time, is that you've got to do what's good enough for you. And in fact, I will get his take on this in a moment. But Andrew got on Today Tonight, and they plugged his book. If you Google Andrew Kiriakou and Today Tonight, you'll see the article on him on Today Tonight. Oh, okay. He's bathing the kids. Don't unmute. I won't, Maddie. No worries. I'll read out his comment, though, in a minute. Andrew Kiriakou got on national TV, and you'll see that video if you go to YouTube and Google and type in the search Andrew Kiriakou Today Tonight. They plugged his book on Today Tonight, again, making him famous in his area. And I quote, at Be Phenomenal, he said this: "It's now criminal how easy it is to list properties." So, you know, certainly something worthy of your consideration. Now, Matt Steinway is on, and he did ask, he's bathing his kids, so sorry, Matty, I've outed you. Yeah, he's doing domestic duties. But Matt puts in there, it depends how important brand is to you, though, and he's right. John McGrath doesn't compromise brands, and it's one of the reasons his personal brand is so strong. He isn't willing to compromise. And I agree 100% with Matty. It's up to you how you're going to implement these things. This is an implementation course. When I said make it be good enough and not necessarily good, what I'm saying is you are the judge of that. If it takes you 5 to 10 back and forths between your graphic designer, then that's your choice of what you have to do. Kiriakou just got his first draft and said, yep, go. I lean more towards Andrew, whereas, of course, you've seen Matt's branding. Matt's branding leans more towards John McGrath, but I tell you, Matt still gets things implemented, and you're the only barometer for whether something is good enough for you. So here's Johnny McGregor's. Again, this was done at $20 an hour. So I'm a big fan of not letting perfect get in the way of done. That's one of the, you know, a lot of people quote that. Don't let perfect get in the way of done. And that's just my advice to you. And I love that Matty's on here listening in. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us, bud. If you can be unmuted later on after you've done the bathing, please feel free, man, to just let me know, and we'll have a chat about any of this stuff. Okay, so I love you, Twids. Love you too, bro. So a killer pre-listing system. Again, we talked about implementing that before. This is John's pre-listing DVD cover. John's DVD disc, John's menu for his DVD. When you put the DVD in the DVD player, this comes up. So you can see that's his personal brand. Lots of photos that are very, well, you know, he likes them. They show his personality. There are questions over here. All this was designed quickly and it got done. So the geographic domination system that some of you guys would have access to, it's and again, Matty, I don't know if you were on before, but I was quoting you saying that saturation marketing being key with your sold flyers. You know, now depending on with a couple of the guys, they recommend. I think Matt wants you to do something every week, maybe a sold flyer one week, because I've listened to Matt's training a whole lot. In his real estate performance center, which is phenomenal. Check that out at mattsteinway.com. Matt talks about saturation marketing in his own unique way that involves different sorts of marketing pieces. For me and Chris, what we sort of perfected, and now many people have implemented across the country, is a weekly sold flyer, where every week they get something like this in the mailbox. So now I'm not going to go through the actual training of what goes on this, because tonight's about getting these things implemented. But what we do with this is we get templates made. So we get one template. This is Mike Brady from First National in Gunnedah. One template with Mike pointing at the user. One template with Mike, you know, with the finger up. So we just choose a different mic on every sold flyer. This is Mike. I was talking to these guys this morning. That's why the slides were handy, so I just grabbed them. This is Jackson's, a couple of Jackson's sold flyers. So, you know, one's sort of from a distance, up from the waist up. One's from sort of the knees up with him pointing at the house. You know, imagine if that was in the letterbox every single week of the year with that black and red, you know, very bold, very stand out. Now, the consumers are just going to pick it up, look at Jackson's face, look at the word sold, and then throw it in the bin. Understand, this isn't designed to do anything except that. Just see Jackson, see the word sold, week in, week out. He's omnipresent in their lives, even if it's just for those few seconds while he's on the way to the wheelie bin. Understand, this is going straight to the recycling bin. And then on the back, we sometimes, in order to slow down the process of getting it into the recycling bin, we put a voucher for an ancillary business, another business around your area. We put a voucher for their business, a free plug, saying that you can have, now in Jackson's case, I did give him the advice for these ones that, those deals aren't the best deals in that, he's doing a clean 2 hours for $60. It's a good deal, but we want free stuff. In an ideal world, we want free stuff. But tonight's not about getting free vouchers or whatever. Tonight is about, if you're going to deliver this weekly, you need to have your design of these things very streamlined and very systemized. So key number 7, don't start, or is it number 7? I don't even know what key it is. That's being covered up at the moment. It is number 7. Yep, key number 7, don't start from scratch. Copy it, tweak it to yourself, and deploy it. Did you notice that Jackson's were kind of similar, at least in principle, from Mike Grady's? So here's what I mean by that. We take one that you already might like. So this is John McGregor's. So we scribble notes all over one like this, and we then give it to the graphic designer. Now, this was the first time we did this. We said that needed to be larger. We need to make John bigger. We need to cut John off and make him bigger. So we didn't want to, we sort of thought cut him off there. So put the First National logo there, make that bigger, etc. And this is what came back. Right? So we very quickly took something that was already half done, tweak it, and then we end up with something perfectly adequate. And as you can see how Jackson and Mike copied John. The quickest way to implement is to swipe, tweak, and deploy. Don't start from scratch, because you'll sit there 6 months later saying, now, I'm nearly ready on the design of my templates for my sold flyers. You want to have these things templated so these things can be whipped up quick. Here's Frank Francis, another one of my clients. He's often on these web trainings. I don't know if he's on tonight. Frankie, are you on? No, not on tonight, so we can talk about him. This is Frank's pre-listing DVD. So John and I sat there, and we absolutely destroyed. Look at all the writing. But still, that only took us literally, 20 minutes. We said, righto, John, what do you want? So he said, right, we'll have a faded background of the crowd. We'll have the picture that we want to substitute for Frank. The copy, the words, are in the text file in the Dropbox. Don't give it away, and then there's some more copy. We want the red man color scheme. Now, the red man color scheme is that red thing that they use in First National. I'll show you the red man. That basically just means we don't want it to be white, red, and blue. We want it to be very bright red, very bright blue. So basically we just scribbled notes all over one that was already adequate. This is Frank's. Frank's happy with that, and rightly so. And here's John's. This is what came back. Now that looks completely unrecognizable to Frank's, as you can see. But look, faded background of crowd. There's the faded background of crowd. So by taking something that's already good and modeling it, we have short-tracked. Imagine how long it would have taken us to give the instructions to the graphic designer if we were going from scratch on this marketing piece. Literally, it would have taken 3 weeks. Would have taken 3 weeks. So, that took 20 minutes. And that's what we want, and that's perfectly acceptable. Now, if John wanted to go back and forth 3 or 4 or 5 times, great. This is up to you as to how detailed you want to get, but it's got the First National branding. His brand's going to be happy. It's all about John McGregor and personal brand, which is what I'm bigger on. Even John McGrath did say at one of our events that we did together, he said, the brand at the bottom of the sign is more important than the brand at the top of the sign. What he's saying is that John McGregor, in the eyes of the consumer, has more of an opportunity to influence and persuade those people to list with him than does First National. Of course, it's helpful if you've got a good brand behind you that has a great reputation within the community. That's a bonus. But understand, if you're going to use that as a crutch, you're going to be forgotten, because they want, I've even heard Matt say, Matt Steinway in some ways, and he's the most humble guy in the world, but Matt accurately knows that Matt Steinway as a brand is bigger than McGrath in his area. They'll be listing with Matt. Otherwise, everyone in Matt's office would be as successful as Matt. Matt doesn't take all the walk-ins and all that sort of thing. Matt's personal brand. John's personal brand. You absolutely need to get these things done in your personal brand. Now, this is a quick webinar, guys. We're not on here all night, so I am going through this at a rate of knots. Now let's get into the first key. Plan, 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 but never too much that you don't start. All right, so let's go through it. You want to make a continuing uncensored list. What that means is on trainings like tonight, on events like Be Phenomenal, whatever training, coaching, and mentoring you do, you want to have a big, and I mean one book that's just hundreds of pages for you to write down uncensored stuff. You want it to be big. You know, Edgar calls it his 101 list. One of my mates, Edgar Nadalo, calls it his 101 list. He came and spoke at one of my closed door events where he trained my guys this. Just write it down till you've got 100 things that you want to implement, and then just start chipping away at them. One of my clients at Elders, I went into his office, and he had a whiteboard that, well, it was more than one whiteboard. It covered up the entire corridor. As you walked down the corridor, the whole corridor was his implementation list. And it was scribbles all over it. There was rubbed out. There was gaps from when he'd implemented something and systemized it. It was visible. It was in his face. Once you've made your big giant list, then you might rate them. I'm going to do that system now, soon, or eventually. Right? Now, soon, or eventually. Now, some of the things you'll be able to afford to do right now. If you hear a great script or dialogue that Phil Harris says at Be Phenomenal, and you write it down, you can implement that now, right? Because that doesn't cost you anything. Soon might be the things that you can afford to do now that you know are going to have an impact. And eventually are the things that you're going to get to when you've got time or the budget or whatever. You want to do it, I call this thing, and I can't remember who I learned this from, but I call it an action priority matrix. So if you want to write this down, where on one axis you put the impact that you think a strategy will have on your business, and on the next axis you put the effort and or the cost. So you could also put cost here on effort. And essentially, if something is going to have high impact, but it doesn't take much effort, you do that quickly, and that's a quick win. So you would get a bunch of those things done ASAP after an event like Be Phenomenal. See, I've heard people say that, if you go to a 2-day training and you just get one thing that's going to revolutionize your business, excuse me, let me have a quick beverage, and you just get one good idea that could absolutely revolutionize your business, you know what? It is absolutely accurate. It's accurate quote. But if you go to Be Phenomenal and you only get one idea, you fell short because, if you didn't get pages and pages of notes at that event, then you come up short. You didn't get the most value out of it. You literally should have walked away from that with 50 things to implement. So if they're low effort and you can get them done quick, grab yourself a few quick wins. Then you'd move on to the major projects, which are high effort and or cost and high impact on your business. They're the major projects. So I'll give you some examples. A quick win might be a tweak of some dialogue that you learned from a Tom Panos. You learned from, that system that Matt Steinway and Tom Panos did, VPA the system. You learn from me. You learn from Chris Gilmore. You learn from Aaron Shiner, whoever it might be. You learn from Danelle Weissman and Andrew Kiriakou and the guys that got up in my presentation and gave you 15, 20 minutes of their success strategies. If you learn something cool like that, that's a quick win. If you learn that you need to take names at your open house instead of, heaven forbid, ignoring people, now don't laugh. I know you guys are thinking, oh, well, we do take names. Well, understand that according to my research, 2/3 of the industry, and I secret shopped you guys, by the way, I went through the open houses, and it wasn't me. I sent in secret shopping ladies to go into the open houses. 2/3 of the industry don't follow up in any way, shape, or form. So understand, if you just hear follow up, that's a quick win. Then we move to major projects. If something is taking low effort, high cost but low impact, well, they're the ones that just don't bother. And low impact and low effort, well, you might do them if you haven't got time to do anything else. So do yourself an action priority matrix and focus in the top 2 quadrants of things that are going to make the most impact, and whether that takes medium, low, or high thing. You want to focus on them. Okay. And then start something. Guys, that whole quote, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the smallest step. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You've got to start. Don't let perfect get in the way of done. Don't sit there. Here's the metaphor. If I was driving from here, down to Terrigal, which I almost did once, I said, Matty, I'm jumping in the car, I'm coming. I didn't end up doing it, but I was gonna. I'm not going to wait for every green light to go in a 10-hour drive before I leave my house. I'm going to start. Right? And then I'm going to stop at the red lights along the way. I'm going to redirect as I go. I live by the principle, and this is another one of the keys. Now, you can tweak this. This is just how I live. One of my keys, I was called the implementation king by one of my mentors when I was learning many of these principles. And my strategy is fire, aim, and who knows whether we were ever really ready. When I first did my very first ever event, from the day I decided that it was a good idea, when Brett Thompson, one of my copywriting coaches, said to me, mate, you should do a 2-day event. And this is back in 2009. 5 weeks later, we had 220 people in the room, and we had the very first Queensland Real Estate Agent Summit. We fired. Then along the way, we re-aimed. What I mean by aim there is make the decision and start. Aim when you find out along the way whether things are working, and readjust. And who cares if you are ready? You'll never be ready. If you're waiting till you're ready, you'll be waiting forever. So, I've heard it said, I think it was Tom Peters, and John McGrath brought out Tom Peters recently, and he had a similar tweak on that. I think it was ready, fire, aim instead of ready, aim, fire. So, it's all just similar principles there. We need to go. So here is an example of a system that we get completely systemized and installed, and this is how it looks. So I've just got to quickly get you up to speed with what the system is. It's a newspaper article about you. Now, if you've ever had a newspaper article about you run, then you should contact that paper, get a copy of it, and run it off like 1,000,000 times. Otherwise, write the article yourself and run the article in a very cheap paper yourself, and pay for the space. No harm in doing that. See, here's the thing. If an editorial or a story gets read 22 times more than an advertisement, according to one of the books I read, that was the percentage. They said that if you open a newspaper and there's an article there, let's just bring up an article. This is an article from the West Australian over in WA. 22 times more people will read that article than if there was an ad down here advertising some other company. 22 times more people will read the article than read the ad. So why the hell do we make our ads look like ads? Let's make them look like articles. That's a big principle, guys. That's a write me down one. So here's a page of a newspaper that I designed. So it's got an article about my secret shop exercise. We put a photo of you in there. We rewrite the ad to say whatever you said. But if 22 times more people are going to read that than the Harvey Norman ad, why wouldn't you make this your ad? Make this an ad. They call this advertorial, right? So all this is about, it says down here, the author of How to Sell Your Property Quickly and Easily, Christine Rudolph, she had some things to say about choosing an agent. And so we're edifying Christine as the expert gun authority in this article. And we print 1,000 of these that edify Christine. The whole point is we edify Christine. Then we put a Post-it note on it that says, hey, you've got to check this chick out, or something like that. These are some of the Post-it notes that we had printed. These are printed in bulk. We don't write this. We haven't got time to write thousands of handwritten Post-it notes. So that's just quickly the strategy. But we need this to be an installed system. And this is just an example, and Brett Brook, as I said, is on here, where's Brett? Oh, he might have nicked off. Oh, it's Brett. I've been thinking it's Brett Coombs. Sorry, Brett. I'm getting you confused with Brett Brook. Sorry, bro. All right, here's your system for Now, I'm not saying you should sign jump, but I'm saying that many people talk about expired listings as a method of getting business. So if you wait until they're expired, you've missed, in my opinion, some marketing opportunities. Now, many brands have, the minute that a sign hits the marketplace with their competitors, they have a letter that they send out saying, congratulations for hitting the market. I really wish you all the best. And if you need to buy something, we've got a whole bunch of properties that could be your next move. So if you'd like to check those out, then, you know, give me a call. Now, I've had some insider information where there was one brand in particular, and I won't mention the brand, but one of their brand members was saying to me, Glenn, you're the devil for doing this sign jumping stuff. You're unethical, you're whatever. No, I'm not even saying we should jump the sign as soon as they hit the market. But that guy's brand was saying exactly they should do that. They should send out that letter, and then it says on the training below. How do I know that? Because they left their website unlocked once, and the public was able, including me, was able to get in the back of house systems and see what they're training their agents to do. And there it said, large as life. We send out that letter not to get buyers from our sellers. We send it so that they see our branding, so they see your face, that they know your name, so that if the property doesn't sell, you get the opportunity to be the second time around. So, you know, I thought to myself, mate, you could get off your high horse when your own brand is telling you to do exactly what I'm saying to do, only the fact is your way won't work as well as mine, but you've got a problem with the way I do it, you know. So, look, I get all passionate about this, I'm sorry, but, you know, that's why I say this is optional, because a bunch of the brands have a letter something like that as part of their system. Am I saying you shouldn't do it? No. Am I saying you should? Not necessarily. I'm saying you can if you want to. But for the first, you know, sort of 4 to 5 weeks, you just want to be hitting sold flyers out there. In some cases, some of my guys do 2 or 3 a week, but you just want to be continually in their face. But to them, it looks like you're just marketing to the area. Lots and lots of sold flyers for 4 to 5 weeks. Now, in Queensland, we've got a 60-day limit. So at day 61, that listing is an open listing and it's up for grabs, right, at day 61. So we just do this. For the first 4 or 5 weeks, we just leave them alone and just let our sold flyers do the work. If you've got their mobile, so this is important if you miss the listing. If you miss the listing, you send them an SMS saying every time anyone in your company sells anything, you say, another one sold by, you know, Gunnedah First National, let us know, you know, now if it's a text message, it should be by FN, you know, or something. Another one sold by FN, they'll know it's you eventually, because you're going to sign it off from Glenn. Another one sold, hey, SMS me if you want the details for 12 Smith Street, if you want the price and all that. You know, and you just SMS them every time. Now, if you miss the listing and they get, you know, 4 SMSs a week, they're going to be certainly questioning whether their agent, if it goes the distance. See, none of this matters if they've listed with a good agent and they get it sold. None of this matters. This only matters if it was going to go the distance and be up for grabs on day 61, or down in New South Wales if it gets to 90, or in Victoria 90, or wherever these 90-day listings are. So if you've got a 90-day period that, you know, your opposition has got to market, understand that you want to let you do nothing for 2 months. Check to see if it's on the market in 2 months, and then maybe send out that article about you with a Post-it note on it that says, hey, you should call this guy. And here's what some of my guys do. Some of my guys were uncomfortable sending out the article about themselves from themselves with a Post-it note on it that says, hey, you should check this guy out. So I just said to him, send me your list. I'll get my PA to send it out for you. So I send out the marketing piece for you. And then I've had other people say, Glenn, you are the devil. Well, here's the thing. I'm not the devil for doing that. Do I believe that if someone is listed with Donnell Weissman's competition here in Caloundra, do I believe to the core of my being that they would be better off listed with Donnell? Absolutely I do. How do I know that? Because right now I am selling a property with Donnell Weissman as my agent. I walk my talk. I gave my listing to Donnell, full fee, vendor paid advertising, because she is the best. Not because she's a client of mine, but because it's the right thing to do. So if I believe that in the core of my being, am I allowed as a member of the community to send out a marketing piece expressing my belief? Damn right I am. I have no ethical problem with this. But understand, tonight isn't about my ethics or otherwise. Tonight's about getting your stuff systemized to this degree of intricacy. So after that, we might send them a copy of our book that we have done, that we talked about. And then after that, waiting 4 weeks, seeing if they're still on the market, sending them 2 or 3 pieces of give to get marketing, and then and only then, on day 57, we might call them. That's the principle. So here's how one of my guys executed it. This is a screen grab from his Locked On, and this is how he does it. So as you can see, when they first list with the competition, literally there's 8 weeks, 55 days of nothing but ensuring a sold flyer or a letter is delivered. Just sold, sold, sold. At the 60-day mark, they check to see if it's still on the market. See how systemized this is? So one of your homework pieces, guys, is if you don't know your CRM backwards, your Locked On, your Complete Data, your Rex, your Chris Gilmore uses My Desktop, whatever it is, if you don't know it and know how to drive it like you stole it, homework piece number 1, you need to learn that. All right? You need to learn it. So there's so that's Dan's. Now, how do we get there? What we need to do, this is my opinion, this is how we get it done. Now, whether this is electronic, but you know what I like better? I like it when it's a good old-fashioned, visible whiteboard. So say you were going to get your own book done. I showed you a bunch of the book covers for my guys who have done their own book on how to sell a property for top dollar. Now, some of them didn't write a word of it. Some of them rewrote the whole thing. My point isn't what's in the book. You know, if you want to talk to us about getting your own book done, if you're not a client, then, you know, just give me a yell, give me an email. We'll talk about how I can do this for you. But understand, if you're not a client and you're not going to become a client, that's cool. Write your own book. Write out 140 pages or so and add that as one of your things that you need to do. So get a whiteboard that's annoyingly visible. You don't want this hidden on your hard drive, never looked at. If it's going to be on the computer, damn, make it your screensaver. Make it your desktop so that it's annoying looking you in the face. So say we're going to get the book done. All right, the first thing our guys would have done is chose their photos. How long might that take? Well, you write when you want to get that done, maybe day 1. Choose the photos. Write chapter 1. Many of my guys write their own first chapter. Choose a heading from the templates we give them. Design their colors. Do you see how we write along the top all of the milestones that we eventually want to do? To get their own book done, my guys spend about 14 days, and here are the milestones. About 7 days maximum of them preparing their materials. But as you can see, you could knock this over in a couple of hours. Choose your photos, write your chapter, choose your heading, design your colors, get a client testimonial and send it to Simone. You could get that done in 1 day, right? And then you tick them off as you do them. Tick them off. By the end of 14 days, your book is being shipped from China for $3 a copy, right? So now that's just an example. What are some other systems you might implement? So, okay, so that's just a close-up of what it is. So you write on the top the milestones. You write on the bottom what it is that you're going to do. And then underneath those milestones, a time frame that is reasonable so you don't get discouraged. So start ticking them off. Now, as you'll notice in this one, we tick that off. Heaven forbid, it took them till day 4. No problem. It's done, it's done, it's done, it's done. By day 14, book done. There are people 6 months after joining my program, 12 months after joining my program, that still haven't got it done. And yet there are some people that are on national TV within months of starting with me. You know, have a look at that Kiriakou thing. You'll see his book. So whatever it might be, your sold flyer strategy, how long it's estimated, what your choose photos, organize the vouchers. See, that we're giving you 7 days to get those freebies from the other businesses there because we know that sometimes can take a long time. Get all of the elements along that axis, and there's where it's complete. And see, you can imagine if that was on your whiteboard, sitting there in your office, it is gonna annoy you. Does that make sense? It's going to annoy you seeing these things not done. Lead generation website. So again, one of the guys are doing unbranded lead generation websites. It's kind of like what we did is we've modeled sites like What Price My House, you know, Home Guru, all those sites that everyone else seems to have except you. Well, why not you have your own? Why not you have your own that says CalandraPropertyReport.com or something like that? that has your own lead generation website. Because guess what? You don't have to pay $300 a month for you to have your own. You pay you a couple of $100 once, and now you've already got your own. But don't put your own branding all over that one. You have it look like it's a third-party website. Now, again, I'm not getting into you should have a lead generation website, even though you should. I'm saying that's another thing you might want implemented. Email my team. Heaven forbid, pay a deposit to get my web guys working. Send us your web photos, organise your promo flyer, approve the final thing. Within 7 days, you've got your own branded website. Real Estate Review, Dean Hankey over in the States. He is coming to us from the States. It's probably some stupid time of the morning over there. Real Estate Review, Caloundra.com, Dean suggests. Brett's saying, don't know about that one. Well, what's the difference, Brett? Brett, HomeGuru.com, they own HomeGuru, and they're going to rent you a simple squeeze page for $300 a month, and they're going to rent it to everyone else. And if it's not generating you leads, they're going to give you flyers to deliver to drive your traffic to them. What's wrong with you having your own version from it? So anyway, we'll talk further about that, because I think I might have misinterpreted Brett. Okay. All right, so a pre-listing kit. You're pre-listing not only the kit, but the system. If you want to implement that, you get it there, you get what it's going to take, and do you see how we're doing that? If you really need to do it electronically, then of course you could. But I like that. I like that sitting in your face with a smiley face when it's done. There it is, and that's how many of my guys get things implemented. Now, we're pretty much out of time on this volume 1. I only had an hour set aside for it, but I had a bunch of people ask about Be Phenomenal and about how I chose my guys who spoke at Be Phenomenal, and I just did want to make a bit of an announcement for you guys. The way I chose Danelle and Josh is they were my implementation gurus. They were the guys who just smashed it. And so if you wanted to speak at a Be Phenomenal coming up, guys, implement, and I'll put you on stage with guys like at events like this, because I'll tell you my ulterior motive. It makes me look good when you implement. So I did want to make an announcement that for Be Phenomenal next year, I don't know if the law of attraction works, but I'm putting it out there. I've had one piece of communication back from Jim Carrey. So I don't know if you know his story, but his story is amazing. So if you want to speak alongside Jim Carrey, then now look, no promises. So far, I've sent him one email asking, and his team has sent me one email back saying, hey, we'll talk to you soon. Right? That's as far as it's gotten. Don't think I've got him booked. Next year when you come, don't come whinging to me saying, somebody stop me. Where's Jim Carrey? Right? I'm working on it. But here's the other one that I'm working on. If the secret is true, I'm putting it out there. So far, and I've had 2 or 3 communication messages back regarding this fellow, is, now I'm not saying we're close, but you want to be alongside this fellow next year, then guys, implement. I don't know if you can see that well. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? So we're talking to these guys. I'm hopeful. I have no right to be hopeful because I have no idea what they charge. I know what Arnold did charge when he came last time to a different promoter, and if it's based on that, maybe. So, but whoever it is, whether it's a similar lineup that we had this year with legends of the industry, if you want in, do what I'm suggesting and implement. This is mainly for my coaching client guys because you guys are the ones who make me look good, So guys like Sebastian, Sebastian just sent me this yesterday, so 23 hours ago. Glenn Twiddle, thank you so much for inviting me to Be Phenomenal this year. It's now the beginning of September, and I have 52,000 in gross commission sold and another 46,000 in negotiations to be finalized this week, and I'm going on holidays for 3 weeks in 7 days. How can you help but love a guy like Sebastian who implements? I just love the fact that he did this, and Sebastian, I don't know if you're on. Let's just see if he is. He was one of our speakers, and that's why I love these guys. They make me look so good. No, he's not on tonight. Bugger. So, hit him up on Facebook, though, and ask him if all this stuff Twiddle talks about is worth it. So what I did, when I was putting this together, I realized that I couldn't get the job done adequately to get your implementation done in one. So I put together a 10-week program. I have never done this before, and I haven't got room for everyone. I called it the Building the Perfect Beast Club. So 10 weeks of this sort of training with me and you, and not 100 people, not 150 people. There'll be 15 people, just us. Me helping 15 of you weekly like this. Only instead of it just being a one-way dialogue, it will be me implementing with and for you for the next 10 weeks. And I'm not going to charge you bugger all for it. So it's a 10-week term ready for you to nail 2015. Here's the thing. If you want 2015 to rock, you need to start thinking about it now, not when you get back from holidays on January 7th. Now, what you do right now, as far as your implementation is concerned, is how 2015 is going to go. So what it's going to be is 5 weeks of web trainings and then 5 Q&A sessions on the alternate weeks. You're going to get audio CDs of all 10 weeks delivered as a set at the end of the term, but I will be delivering them week by week on my Vimeo channel so you can review them, and there will be nothing sold on the trainings. It is just coaching to get your stuff done. Phil Harris at Be Phenomenal. Do you remember that quote he said? He said, we've got a really interesting business plan here in our business. We actually get shit done. I just loved it. So I was inspired by my mate Phil Harris when he said that. So they will not be selling stuff. These web trainings will be coaching you to get your stuff done. So week 1 will be setting up your farming marketing systems. So those are things that you plant a seed today, and you get that's why I'm doing it in week 1, because with farming there's an incubation period. These things don't take effect until, you know, an 8-month incubation period potentially. So the sooner we start on these things, the sooner you start getting a payoff. There are some marketing pieces that will not generate you revenue immediately. So that's week 1. We're going to get down and dirty with my best marketing systems from a farming perspective, and then we are going to implement and leave you with an implementation plan. Exactly what to do, how to do it, and you'll have a week to do it. But if you take a bit longer, that's cool. You're going to leave with a guided implementation plan with me as basically your personal coach. And then week 2, there'll be no extra to-dos. Week 2 will be getting down and dirty with you and the 15 people, and we will be figuring out what went wrong, why you didn't get everything that you wanted to get done, and what we can do to have another week to finalize what you're doing. So this will be done quickly, but within 10 weeks you will have an absolutely new business, a reinvigorated business. We're going to get your ideas troubleshooted, implemented, done, and ready to move on to the next stuff, which is fishing. We'll be creating and handing you bait. See, fishing implies we hold out something that the community might be interested in to attract more appraisals, to attract more database members, and we are going to figure that out. Then on the next week, week 4, we will be Q&Aing how your bait went, what bait you've created. We'll be brainstorming and workshopping. This will not be lecture. This will be part what to do, and a whole lot of, hey, have you done it? Why not? And helping you get it done and get it done right. Then week 5. So week 4 will be that hand-holding. Week 5 will be hunting. How to get an instant and immediate. Now remember, you're going to get recordings of all of this. Hunting is catch and kill. Hunting is if you need a listing this week, you will get a listing by the end of the week. And I gave a bunch of the Be Phenomenal speakers the challenge. If you needed a listing by the end of tomorrow, what would you do? And they came up with some awesome answers. So we'll go through some of those ideas. So week 5 is about immediate listings, catch and kill techniques that have you with listings a week after we start. All right. Then week 6 will be Q&A on how that went, what worked best. Then week 7, sticking with the food metaphor, now that we've got some budget in place, or eventually when you do, there are some ways that we can cost effectively buy listings. right? So options as low as $50 per client. My question would be, if there's a $10,000 commission check on the line, would you pay $50 to get your foot in the door? So we're going to go through some of my best strategies that I call buying listings. And I don't mean buying listings in the way that we generally mean, which is bidding the highest price. What I mean is using a budget, a small budget, and it can be, $30, it can be 50, in order to get your foot in the door to list and appraise the property. Then, of course, you've got to be good enough, and that's what we're going to cover on week 9, is my best and proven strategies. Anything that we didn't cover in the marketing stuff, we will cover on weeks 9 and 10. So week 9 will be my best stuff that's not farming, fishing, hunting, or that wasn't covered in the previous weeks. It'll be all the stuff that's proven, and then week 10 will be wrapping up anything you need. So I tell you, it is a 10-week crash course with me and with many of my friends. Now, understand that my top level is $5,000 per month. I've never offered this before. A 10-week term, if you were going to pay me one-on-one to do it with you, it would be $12,500 for 10 weeks. So I've tweaked, I've improved, I've proven this system over the last 5 years, and it's me one-on-one giving you everything. Now, of course, the one-on-one will be me working with you one-on-one while the other 14 listen in. Then I work with them one-on-one and you listen in. And sometimes you're going to learn more listening to me helping someone else than you do yourself. There'll be guest mentors from my coaching program popping their head on. Guys like Danelle, guys like Sebastian, who have done what you are wanting to implement, they'll be on board to help. There'll be guests, if I can talk them into it, from the Be Phenomenal faculty. I'm going to beg, borrow, and beg all my mates who worked with us at Be Phenomenal to jump on and give us their take on these sorts of things. Again, Matty's on here tonight, and if he wasn't bathing, I'd love to get his take on some of those things that we were talking about. So I'm going to give you a bunch of marketing pieces already done for you that I'll just hand you, that I've already written them for you. You'll be given fill-in-the-blanks marketing pieces and templates is what I'm saying. And more importantly, full step-by-step implementation instructions. And no, the cost isn't going to be that. I want to do this. It'll be $1,000 as your entire tuition. If you want to pay it off every week, $99 a week. I'm just doing this this barely covers the cost of me bothering to do it. But understand, I wanted to give a no-brainer to some people who haven't yet seen that, who wanted to try me out for literally next to no money. So now I only want 15. That's the website, bephenomenal.com.au/beast. Now I just whipped that up. I'm an implementer. I whipped that up today. So don't judge me by how ordinary the website is, and you're also going to see some bonuses on there. But before I talk about the extra goodies that are there, this is Dan Richardson down in South Australia. He implemented everything that we are going to cover over this 10-week program, and within 18 months he'd gone from a standing start to absolutely dominant in his area. He now has a standing, that's him chinking up and goes with Brett, who I mistook Brett Coombs for. This is Brett Brook. He has a standing bet with all his staff. If you implement this stuff that Dan and I put together, and you agree in 18 months that you aren't just absolutely smashing it, he'll write them a check for $50,000. Call him and ask. Call Dan Richardson, Urban Residential in South Australia, and ask him about the bet. That he's got a standing bet with his team that if they fail, if they implement, and that's the key, that if they aren't number one in their area after 18 months, he'll write them a check for $50,000. Money where his mouth is. What I'm going to throw in as extras, just as some goodies to get you started, is we did a full day with John McGrath, with the legend Matt Steinwade, Chris Gilmore, my number one client who's just been earning $1 million in his 3rd year in real estate and every year since, all the while working less hours, and me. We did a full day that was heralded by many as the best real estate training they've ever done. We did it again in South Australia, Heavy Artillery 2. It was a very different day. I was really surprised that many of the guys did different talks, and again it was heralded as the best real estate training that they'd ever done down in Adelaide. I'm also going to give you a copy of, I did a day where I got all of my best clients and we went through the case studies, case study by case study. There's Ilse Townley, Zach McCarty, Edgar Nadalo, Michael Spillane, Andrew Rybel, Chris Gilmore. We shared what was working in that particular year, and we pulled out all their best strategies. So it's a peek over the shoulder look at some of my best clients, and I do that every year, and I'm going to give you seasons 5 and 6, which were the ones we recorded, because I'm an idiot and I didn't record them before that. I'm going to give you seasons 5 and 6 free, right? Just as a bonus. Now, for you guys, if you pay in full the $9.90, I'm also going to give you the rights that I give my normal coaching clients, and they pay a minimum $3,600 for this, the rights to your own book, meaning your photo on the book, right? Like Johnny McGregor. You get the instant you join up with us, you are your own author. So one of the implementation plans that you are going to set in place during this program is getting your own book published. And you'll have it done within the 10 weeks. So just to refresh your memory, the Done For You library, Heavy Artillery 1, Heavy Artillery 2, the Peek Over the Shoulder case studies, volumes 1 and 2. They are a full day each. Your own book rights, the package has got to be worth thousands, plus the program, you're just me for 10 weeks, weekly. If that's not worth $1,000, heaven forbid. You know, look, I know I'm worth $1,000, I promise you. I promise you I'm worth $1,000. So all of that for $9.90 or $99 by 10 if weekly payments helps you out. I can only do 15. I only want to do 15 so I can get right into it and help you. You get a whole bunch of stuff and a bunch of goodies. It's funny that Dean Hankey is on this web training. Dean made me up some graphics. Oh, he's not on here. Oh, no, he's under the Dean of Success. Dean made me up some graphics once, and so the only photo I had of me live was me and Dean. Again, Dean's on here now. I would suggest that I might be able to twist Dean's arm into joining us on one of the Q&As. So you're going to get me, many of my clients, many of my mentors like Dean, and look, it's rock bottom as far as pricing is concerned. I couldn't have made it any cheaper. So, and if you do do it in a one-off payment of $9.90, you get the rights to the book included for no cost, right? So you become instantly a published author. There's the website, and thank you for your attendance. I'm not going anywhere quickly, guys. I can do some Q&A, but I am going to click stop recording so that I can because the people who are watching this as a recording aren't going to want to listen to us banging on about whatever we're going to bang on about. So guys, thank you for your attendance. If you want a copy of this recording tonight, it will be emailed out tomorrow. If you don't get the email, just shoot me an email or a Facebook message or something, and I'll get you a copy of tonight. So, because I know I went quickly. You want to slow it down, watch it in your own pace, then I'll send out a copy of this as well. So, all right, so guys, for you, those of you who are watching the recording, I'm going to click stop recording now. Thank you for having a look at this. I am going to leave this offer up until either it fills up with 15 people or the end of the weekend. But I'm going to take it down at the end of the weekend because I've got these people to help. So there it is. I'm going to click stop recording.